I procrastinate a lot on my homework, so desk knitting may be dangerous for that, but we'll see how that goes. I love a twisted rib. Twisted rib looks so good, like you could just eat it. Do you know what I mean? You just take a bite straight out of it. It's like so scrumptious looking, and it's so yummy and delicious, and you just want to squeal. I'm like, yeah, but I want you to love it because it's perfect. I don't want you to just love it because I made it for you. I want you to love it because it's actually perfect and exactly what you wanted it to be. I want you to love the product, not just the sentimental value. You know what I mean? Oh, it's raining. Glad I'm inside. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here or if you just need a refresher, I'm Ollie and I'm the one-woman show behind the Walleeze channel. And today I'm back with podcast number 7, right? 7. Where I talk about all my knitting and all things like that. And occasionally I'll pop in at the end of a podcast and talk about what I'm watching, what I'm reading, other hobbies that I'm doing, but I don't think I'm going to do that today because nothing interesting has been happening. Just knitting stuff, just focusing on knitting this past week. So, I say let's get right into it because I got chunks to talk about. I've got some failed finished objects, I've got slow progress on some other whips, but progress nonetheless, and I've got some scary stories to tell. So, let's just get into it, huh? Okay, so first up, I want to talk about what I'm wearing. So this right here, don't mind my pajama pants. That's the podcaster special. I get ready on the top half and I leave the bottom half as it is. So this is my Ophelia blouse. This is, like I said, the Ophelia blouse by Starcross Knits, otherwise known as Tamara Jordan. But yeah, I knit this up. This is in Neighborhood Fiber Co. in the colorway Waverly. And that's 100% rustic wool. So I think it's merino. Let me check. Get my journal. In my journal, I love logging all my different types of yarns. Even though it makes it like chunky, I love doing it. I think it's a lot of fun. Like, look. Oh, those are knitting patterns that I've printed out. But yeah. I keep filming these late, so the shadows are going to be a little bit intense. I cannot gauge when to film these anymore because I used to film these at this time, and I'd be fine. But now it's as if it were 6 o'clock or like getting ready for sunset, so I'm still lost. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to find this yarn. It's 100% organic merino, Neighborhood Fiber Co., the colorway Waverly, and it's their line of rustic fingering. So there's that. I knit this up a couple of months ago, so I don't know why it never dawned on me to wear it on the podcast, but I'm wearing it today, so that's what I'm wearing. So let's jump into finished objects now. So first finished object that I have, it's rare that I have a finished object, and I'm gonna be so honest, I don't like the way that this turned out, and it's my own fault really because I did not pay close enough attention to the pattern. So if you were here last week, you heard me mention that I was knitting the Antons Christmas Bow by Antons, but I wasn't following the pattern directly. I was kind of like manipulating it to fit kind of what I wanted, and I had knit up something like it. Did I don't remember if I said it last week on the podcast, but I was knitting it up and I was confused about the pattern, and I was knitting it flat. Well, I finished that and it didn't work. It didn't work really because it just curled up on itself. So it literally just curled up, and I tried to block it. This is acrylic yarn, so it's a little bit difficult to block, but it just didn't stay put, and I was just so confused. And so I was like, well, I guess the pattern really is meant to be knit in magic loop. So I went back and I re-knit it in magic loop, and I'm using a DK weight yarn. I'm using something called Knitting Essentials Plain in the colorway Cream. It's 100% acrylic yarn, and I got it from the pound store for like one single pound, truly. So nothing crazy, nothing major, no sweat off my back, nothing, literally. So I went and I reknit it, and I finished it, but it is a bit large, a bit chunky, and because of the nature of acrylic, I cannot really get it to sit the way I want it to sit, but it is very stinking cute. I will say that. Look. So I knit it up, and it is very large. This may not look incredibly large, but my intent for this bow was to wear it as a hair clip. So wear it in my hair. I don't know if you can tell, but it's just a little bit large. I wanted it more as like the back here, something like that, but it's just a little bit large and yet not large enough. Like these little bits are not as big as I would want. These little bits right here, they're not as big as I would want, but the rest of it is just, it is thick. That is a thick bow. So what I have done is I've decided that this will not be a hair bow. This instead will be a bow that goes on a gift that I make or something, or it'll go on my wall or something. I don't really know, but it's not going in my hair. But it will be, it's too darn cute to not be repurposed into something else. We'll just have to figure out what it is whenever it goes. But I do still want that bow for my hair. So this is a really good segue into whips. Because, hold on, I have to sneeze. I went ahead and I had this leftover yarn, and I'll get to that in just a second, but I went ahead and I cast on a new bow. So, let me get these little scraps out of the way. So I just went ahead and, wow, the lighting outside is so blue. But I just went ahead and I cast on a new one. It's small, it's so little. I messed up my increases somehow, so it's like a little bit, whereas this side is smooth. I don't know if you can see that. This side over here has more of like a cliff, like a drop off kind of thing. I don't know how to explain it. And then this side is just nice and smooth. But I just I'm just using up some scrap yarn that I had in my stash. So this is leftover, let me see what it is. Jarbo Junior Raggi in the colorway Bordeaux Red, and that's 75% superwash wool and 25% polyamide. It's just some sock yarn that I had left over from a pair of socks I made a while back. So hopefully this one goes better, because I was looking at the pattern trying to figure out how this turned out so big and yet not anything like what it was supposed to look like exactly. And it's because the pattern calls for fingering weight yarn. You can use pretty much any yarn, but you have to fiddle a lot more. So I was following it with DK weight yarn as if it were fingering weight yarn. And that is not the same at all. So I'm following it this time in fingering weight yarn. So hopefully that goes a lot better. And hopefully this time next week we'll have an actual bow. If not, it'll just be done the week after that or the week after that. I don't really have like a deadline on this. I'm not really pressuring myself to get this done. I'm unofficially calling this, we'll make it official right now. I'm officially, as of right now, calling this my desk knitting, where it just sits at my desk. And while I'm doing homework or other assignments or things like that, I will take like a little break and I'll just do a couple rows. That's what I did with this one, and it got done within a week. So I procrastinate a lot on my homework, so desk knitting may be dangerous for that, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, moving on, my next whip is the Salty Day sweater by Veronica Lindberg, aka Kuruvakika. If you are new here, this is my boyfriend's Christmas present, and he and I have decided that I don't want him, and he doesn't want to, see it until he gets it for Christmas. So this is my boyfriend warning. So, hi my dear, how are you? I'll leave you a timestamp. Go here, and I'll be done showing the sweater. For everyone else that is still here, let me make sure I'm not going to drop any stitches, and then figure out There we go. Ugh, it looks so good. Okay, so I have lots to talk about this sweater today. This, as you can tell, I finished a sleeve. So there's lots to talk about this sweater today. This is where we are in the second sleeve. Oh, okay, one more time, because that looks so good. Okay, here it is. I'll go up slow. Am I laying it properly? Yeah. I'll go up slow. And then if you look closely at the bottom, I did open twisted rib instead of the twisted rib the pattern called for. But I did do the twisted rib on this sleeve, and look at how good it looks. Ugh, I love a twisted rib. Twisted rib looks so good, like you could just eat it. Do you know what I mean? You could just, you just take a bite straight out of it. It's like so scrumptious looking, and it's so yummy and delicious, and you just want to squeal. Let me put this back over here. Okay. So, if you remember last week, I said that I wanted to be about to start the twisted rib to finish off the sleeve on the second sleeve by the time I filmed this podcast. As you can pretty obviously tell, I'm not there. I still have a pretty decent chunk of the sleeve left to go. But I have an explanation. So last Sunday, after I finished filming the podcast, I went to go finish the twisted rib. I did the twisted rib, and I waited until the next day to do the Italian bind off because I was going to be learning the Italian bind off for the first time. And by the time I had finished the twisted rib, it was like midnight, and I was just not up to learn an entirely new skill at that point in the night. So I waited until the next day, and I went and I did the Italian bind off, and I picked up the stitches for the next sleeve. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, let me measure. And I wanted these sleeves to measure 23 inches. Okay. When I finished knitting it, I kid you not, they were sitting at 17 inches. 17, 18 inches. And if I really pulled it, I could get it to 20. But if I pulled it all the way to 23, that sleeve got skinny. So, because then you start to lose width to get length. And I did not want to lose much width to gain that much length. And so I was stressing hardcore about these sleeves. I'm filming a vlog right now, and I'm talking to the vlog about like, I cannot decide what to do with these sleeves. I'm texting my boyfriend. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know like how it's gonna block out. And he's like, well, I'm gonna love it either way. Da da da. And I'm like, yeah, but I want you to love it because it's perfect. I don't want you to just love it because I made it for you. I want you to love it because it's actually perfect and exactly what you wanted it to be. I want you to love the product, not just the sentimental value. You know what I mean? And so I decided to do something I'd never done before, and I don't think I've had a reason to not really do this. I just think there's never I've never been at a point in a knit where I would benefit from a mid-project block. So I did my first ever mid-project block. All I had done was pick up the stitches for the second sleeve. So I just took those out and I dunked it in water. And side note, pause. I didn't say what I was knitting this in. I'm knitting the Salted Days sweater in Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Wales Road, which is 100% superwash merino wool. I'm knitting the size small, and I'm knitting it in 5.5 millimeter needles to meat gauge. There we go. What was I saying? Oh, I did a mid-project block, and I dunked it in my sink, and I've never done a project solely in Malabrigo Rios. I've held it with another yarn, but this is my first time ever really experiencing the true power of Malabrigo Rios solo. It sucks up a ton of water. So bear that in mind when you are blocking anything in Malabrigo Rios. It sucks up a ton of water, meaning that you have to squeeze out a ton of water. I had to use three full-size body towels and then one last towel to lay it on to get it to dry properly. But I think I was fully squeezing out water for like 20-30 minutes just to make sure I was as gentle with this piece, because the water made it so heavy. So I tried to be as gentle as possible with this piece, when it's like incredibly weighed down by water, and I'm trying to squeeze as much water as I can out of it. It was scary, and I thought I got out scot-free. I did not. Catch my vlog in a week, but you can see the moment I caught it on camera where I saw that for the first time, and it looked like I had dropped a stitch, and I about freaked out. And I was like, stay calm, it's okay, it's just a drop stitch, nothing crazy, nothing you haven't dealt with before. And so I went to go pick it up, but the thing is that it was in an area where I had joined a new ball of yarn. So when I join a new ball of yarn, I use them both as if I'm doing color work. And so it's like one stitch from ball A, one stitch from ball B, one from ball A, one from ball B. So there was no consistent like yarn that these stitches were pulling from. I just knew that like that whole section was unraveling, and I was like, what is happening? And I was like, okay, let me just find the end of whatever yarn is being like tugged, so that way I can like use that to weave in everything. And I could not find it to save my life, and I totally hacked it. I totally hacked the way that I saved this piece. And let me see if I can find it on here to show you, if it's not going to be like too difficult. Found it. Oh, dropped my notes. So, I just literally picked up all the loose, it wasn't like, there wasn't any like just strings. So there was no like ends or anything. It was just literally just loops. And I was like, well, how do I fix this? And so I just picked up like all the loops that were hanging around, and I cut one of them, and then I tied a knot around all the loops super, super tight. And that's just gonna have to hold. This is what I did to hack this piece. This is exactly what I did, is I literally took all these little loops and I tied this knot around them. It's not pretty, it's not neat. My boyfriend's definitely gonna be able to feel this when he wears it, but that's what I did. So, as you saw, not the prettiest way to fix it, and it might not be the most effective, but it worked for now, and we'll see how long it holds. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm working on the second sleeve. It will be done by next week, because I've worked out a little schedule on when everything needs to be knit, so it will be done by next week. I'm going to work on some of that 1x2 ribbing section now, later today, so we'll see how that goes. And lastly, the Salty Days has been on the needles for 66 days, which is crazy, absolutely insane, bonkers. And I think with my schedule it will make it to a full 70 days, but we shall see. We'll see how long. I don't remember off the top of my head what I have my schedule planned for, so we'll see if it gets to 70. Moving on next to my Home for Christmas Socks by Renard and Dormy, which I'm not going to forget to say the yarn this time. I'm knitting it in Cascade Heritage in the colorway Pine, which is 75% superwash wool and 25% nylon. Superwash merino and 25% nylon. As well as Drops Nord in the colorways Red and Off-White, which is a 45% alpaca, 30% polyamide, and 25% wool blend. I'm knitting them in the size large and on 2.25 millimeter needles. So, let me get them out to show you. I have made some very good progress on these this week. I took off my little Jingle Bell stitch marker, because once I knit the heel, it was very clear to tell which side is the front and which side is the back, and so I took it off because it was annoying me, actually. I'm so sorry. I try so hard with that Jingle Bell because it's so funny to me, but it was just too annoying. It'll have to go on when I start this next one, but for now it's off. So My stockinette is very clearly a different gauge than my color work, but don't mind that. Oh, I forgot. I accidentally just showed the socks without putting a boyfriend warning. My boyfriend decided he didn't want to see these either, because these are also part of his Christmas present, so he decided he did not want to see these either. So this is my second boyfriend warning. Here's another timestamp. Jump to that and I'll be done showing them, and I'll just be talking about them. Everyone else, hi. You have not seen these, even though I've already shown them once on accident. You have not seen them yet. So now let me show them officially. It's very easy to tell that my stockinette is in a very different gauge than my color work is in, but that's pretty normal. So here they are. That's the front, and then this is the back. I think the heel always looks so silly when you're knitting it, because, well, at least in Magic Loop, you're knitting it in like half, and then most of the time, the German short row heel, I've had it once. There was one pattern where I knit it, and it was like half of the German short row heel was on the front needle and half was on the back needle, but most of the time I knit it like this. This is really what I'm comfortable knitting it in, so it does look kind of silly like this, but this is what we have so far. Let me turn it the right side around, like you would actually be seeing it if you were wearing the sock. And there we go. They look so good. My goal for this podcast was to just get the heel done, so finish the color work and just knit the heel, but yeah, I think I'm gonna be done showing them now. Hi, this is editing, not even editing, Ollie, like I just finished filming the podcast and I'm sitting here transferring the footage, and I realized that I completely forgot to mention that the heel that I'm knitting on my Home for Christmas socks, the German short row heel that I did, is not in the pattern. In the pattern, it calls for a heel flap and gusset in the main color, which is what I'm using is Cascade Heritage Pine. It calls for a heel flap and gusset in your main color. I chose not to do that. I chose to swap out that heel flap and gusset, mainly because I don't like knitting a heel flap and gusset. It's a bad experience for me, and I don't think it looks the best. So I knit up a German short row heel in the contrast color instead, because I thought it looked cute. But I completely forgot to say that when I was recording originally, and I just remembered now. So editing Ollie will add this bit in, and this is just Ollie from the future. So don't mind the lighting change or anything like that or anything. So, but yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Bye. Was to just knit the heel. But I not only finished the color work, knit the heel, but I also knit all of the foot. Now I'm about to begin the toe, like the color work that's right before the toe, and then the toe, and then I'm done with this sock. Then I can start on the second one. I have an acquisition that ties into this sock, but I'll talk more about it when we get to the acquisition section. But I'm about to start the color work right before you hit the toe, and the toe, and I'm done with this sock. So I knit quite a bit more than my goal. I almost showed them again. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't really have much to say on these other than I'm really pleased with the way they're working up. Nothing really is to be said until I finish the sock and I start on the next one. The color work right before the toe involves a lot of 3-stranded color work, which is not necessarily difficult for me per se. I've learned, oh, it's raining. Glad I'm inside. Oh, we got an ice and snow warning for my city for the first one of the year, or the first one of this winter season, I guess, this fall and winter season. So that's exciting. Hopefully I don't slip and fall on my butt as many times as I did last year. It was embarrassing the amount of times that I slipped and fell on my butt because of the ice. It's because my city is all hills. My quick rant, my city is entirely built on a hill. So my school is at like a midpoint on the hill, and then there's a city that goes further up, and the city center where I live is further down. And so you're constantly walking up or down a hill. So if your shoes don't have good traction, which mine did not last year have good traction, I fell on my butt like 3 or 4 times, and it was embarrassing. And my boyfriend knows about 2 of them, but it happened more than that, and I just refused to say so. But I guess I'm saying it now in front of the internet, so I don't know. I guess it's less embarrassing because nobody's actually seen me say it, but also more embarrassing because more people have access to hear me say that. But I hope I don't fall on my butt as much as I did last year. Anyways, this is a knitting podcast talking about knitting, and I'm sitting here talking about ice, but hopefully I can finish. What was I even talking about? Oh, the 3-stranded color work. So the 3-stranded color work is not exactly difficult per se, but it is definitely slow. It's a little bit tedious, it's slow, it slows down my whole flow, my whole process, everything. So, well, it may take me a little bit longer than normal to do those 9 rows of color work. Hopefully I will be able to get it done today. So that is it for my whips, technically. But if you're wondering, Ollie, where's your clematis sweater? I thought you had a clematis sweater. What happened to the clematis sweater? Yeah, the clematis sweater is still here. It's sitting over there in the corner, staring right at me. But it just hasn't gotten any work this week. My priorities are the Salty Days sweater and the Home for Christmas socks. So that's just been kind of pushed to the wayside. So it's sitting over there, not being touched, not getting any work, but it is still here. Do not worry. So that is the clematis sweater by Emma Mayer, and I'm knitting it up in the 2nd size in Do Store Alpaca Stirk. And I don't remember the fiber makeup off the top of my head, but it's on the screen. So yeah, but it is still here. Don't fret, don't worry. It just is not getting any work right now. Let us move on to acquisitions, because I have acquisitions this week. I never have acquisitions. Well, I say that, but I've had acquisitions a good deal of weeks, I think. But first up on my list of acquisitions, let me pull them out of my needle case, is that I got, oh my goodness, can I get them out of the case? I got some Nova Metal, which is like the British version of, it's pretty much just Nova Platina, but it's the British branch version, however you want to say it. I bought 4mm shorties for the sleeves cuffs, so that way I could do the twisted rib on the cuffs of my Salty Days sweater. So there they are. Nova Metal shorties. Camera focus. There we go. So my camera's having a bit of trouble focusing just because they're so small and they're so skinny. But yeah, I just needed these to help me with the super small circumference of the cuffs of my sleeves. So we bought those to help us out. A bit of a mandatory, not mandatory expense. And they were extremely helpful. What else can I say? There's not much to say about the knitting needles. I love a metal needle, which is exactly why I've switched from carbons, which is what I'm holding in my hand. This is my carbons set, but they have just a little bit too much grip for me, and I don't super enjoy knitting on them. They just kind of make my hands tired after a while. I prefer a metal needle. So on the sleeves, I'm using Nova Cubics, but I could not find Nova Cubic shorties in 4mm. Don't know why. Who knows? But I found Nova Metal, and if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I got the big Nova Metal. Nova Metal? What is Nova Metal? Nova Metal knitting set. So I thought, why not just start building up a collection of shorties? Do they make Nova Metal or Nova Platina shorty sets? I feel like they do. If they make them for like Chowgu and stuff, I feel like they have to make them for Nova Metal. But yeah, that was my first acquisition. Nothing really much to say. I love a metal needle. They glide. They're super easy. They don't make my hands cramp. So that's a personal thing. If metal needles make your hands cramp, then yeah, I'm sure you have your preferred needle type. So the second thing I got was this. This is knitting elastic. So this specifically is not going to be able to show up on camera but like that little thin thread hanging out of the side, that is how thin this is. This is the Prim knitting in elastic, and it's that thin because I heard that you're supposed to be able to hold this with your yarn and knit it straight into your pieces. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to use it for is just sew it in afterwards. I got it specifically to use on the collar and hem of the Salty Days sweater, just because my bind-offs, I wanted to do stretchy bind-offs, and it just kind of made them flare out a little bit. With the collar, it helped actually. Blocking helped a ton. Just let those sit how they're supposed to sit, but I would like them to be able to just spring back to that place with wear. I don't want them to get all flary or ruffly with as they get worn. So I'm just gonna put that in. And my boyfriend also requested that I start putting in elastic in his socks. So he's going to bring me his old socks that I've knit him, and I'm going to sew in elastic. And with the pairs of socks that I have stockpiled here to give to him, I'm going to sew in elastic on those. So that way they stay up on his leg better. They last a little bit, the ribbing lasts a little bit better in between washes. So that he doesn't like lose its shape like it does. And it usually regains its shape after a block, but in between, just helping it keep its shape and stay up on his leg easier. So I'll let you know how that works. It's my first time ever using this type of elastic and knitting it in, sewing it in. I'm not going to really be knitting it in, but we'll see how that works. Hopefully it works out the way that I want it to. Okay, so next up on my acquisitions, this is a little premature because, like I literally just said, the clematis has gotten no work and has no intentions of really getting a ton of work until after these are all off to my boyfriend and I have a little bit more free time, because I've decided on, I'll talk about this in plans in a second, but I went ahead and I bought the buttons for my clematis sweater. Ideally I wanted some like star shaped buttons, but I couldn't. Oh, I dropped one. But I couldn't find any that really kind of fit exactly what I was imagining in my head without buying like a big set. Because I found some on Amazon that kind of fit like what I was looking for. But tell me why I was in like a 200 piece pack. I'm like, I just need 5. 6 maybe so I can have a backup. But 200? That's kind of a lot. So instead I found these buttons. They're drops buttons, and I found them on Wool Warehouse, and I think they are so stinking cute. I will they're a little bit hard to show, especially with my camera's focusing issues, but I will put a little clip in of them. Yeah, they have little flowers on them, and I think they're so cute. So I bought 6 of them. The pattern calls for my size for 5, but I got an extra one just to be safe, just in case, because they are slightly different colors. Like this one is a little bit darker than this one, so you cannot see that. You're not gonna be able to see that. I don't know why I tried to show you, but you know, why not? It's better to have an extra than the short one. So there's not really much to say on that because they're just buttons, but they are for my clematis, and I did buy them a little prematurely because I got overzealous and I got excited, and I figured why not. Okay, I have one more like grouped acquisition to tell you, but it's technically like 3 different acquisitions, but it's also technically one, if you could make any sense of that. So, and it's yarn. So I have a tradition. Well, I'm making a tradition this year. I have a tradition of knitting stockings for my boyfriend and I, like ones that say our initials or our names or anything like that, for every Christmas that we've been together. So I made stockings last year. I'm making them this year. I've picked out the stocking pattern for this year. I think it's called Fresh Pine. I cannot remember the pattern designer off the top of my head. I totally should have gotten this prepared, but it'll be on the screen. So I went ahead and I bought the yarn and the pattern for that stocking, so that way I can get ahead on that. I completely forgot about the fact that he might want to have this stocking with him for Christmas, because last year we he came to visit me right before Christmas, and then we left on my break, like on my school winter break. We flew back to the States together. So we got to hang out with the stockings together, and it did not even occur to me that I knit those so early last year, and that this year I completely forgot. They weren't going to be ready for us to hang out or for him to take one with him. But that's okay, because I'll have them, and that's really what matters, right? So I went ahead and I bought the yarn for the stockings, and I'm trying to slowly work my way through a lot of Drops yarn, because Drops yarn has a pretty decent like selection of colors, and it's all relatively soft. And from my experience, it's not, besides like Drops Fabelle, which is their sock yarn, it's not really too rustic, so I'm enjoying. I'm interested to try their mohair, but I've heard that their mohair is actually like really itchy. So alternatively, I'm also really excited to try the brushed alpaca, because I've heard that's like, if you're more sensitive to itchier wools, that is helpful. But I bought this yarn. Let me show it to you in the bag first. But here's the yarn that I bought from Wool Warehouse. Love Wool Warehouse. But yeah, I got this. I got red. I bought 5 balls of Drops Flora. I'm trying to show the name. So I bought 5 balls of Drops Flora. And I got that red color. I got, you cannot tell because the light is so blue outside. Here, I'll show it back here, because this is a little bit more true to color. But this is what this color is. It's like a pinky. It's a lot more pinky in real life, which I don't hate because it's gonna be right next to red. But it's like a beigey kind of pinkish undertone color. And then I got this dark green. Here, true to color. So Drops Flora is, where does it say? Oh, 65% wool and 35% alpaca. And I bought it in the colors 32, 18, and 31. I'm sure those have actual names. And Editing Ollie, you have one more job. Put in what the actual names are. So Editing Ollie will put in what the actual names are, but for now, the numbers are 32, 18, and 31. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about the yarn. I haven't used it yet, so I don't know like if it knits up weird, if it's splitty or anything like that. But this is all the yarn that I bought for the stocking. Yeah, I don't think I have really much else to say. I haven't used the yarn, so I have no idea if it knits up weird or like what the texture of it looks like, what kind of fabric it makes. I don't know if it's splitty, nothing. But you will hear my thoughts as I start knitting it, which leads me into plans. It's a really good segue into plans, because I do not know when exactly I'm going to cast on those stockings. Obviously I have 2 of them to knit, one for me and one for Jordan, so it has to be generally soon, but I don't know exactly when. I want to get one of them off, either the salty days or the socks. I need to get them done. It's probably going to be the salty days first. So this week I do want to finish the salty day sweater, so it will be done this week. I just don't know exactly what day, what time, I don't know the exact specifications of when it will be done, but it will be done this week. So following that, because I want to finish this first sock, and I want to, let me set a goal here for the second sock. Let's say I want to finish the color work on the second sock by the time we're here next week. Although for me, okay, so for next time I'm sitting here recording a podcast, because of when that lines up to when my boyfriend's done, this second sock needs to be pretty much where this sock is, where I just need to finish the toe and that's it. Because I need to give it time to block. I either want to be almost done with the foot or completely done with the foot, ready to knit the toe. So generally I want to be back in a similar place to where this one is. So following the salty days, next on my plans is to finish the first sock and get close to this spot on the second sock. I also just want to work idly on the Christmas bow. Like I said, it's my desk knitting, so It's just chilling there. It's just getting work whenever I need a break or I'm procrastinating and I'm feeding into the procrastination monster. Maybe I'll cast on the first stocking. It'll honestly depend on how much work the Home for Christmas socks and the Salty Days take. Because if they sap all my knitting energy from me, then that's where my knitting energy is gonna go. If I have anything left over, then it'll go to the stocking, but I doubt it. As long as those are done by Christmas, I'm happy. I also want to talk very quickly about my socks for my parents. I've mentioned before that I'm going to knit pairs of socks for my parents, one for my mom and one for my dad, but I have decided that I would be guessing on a lot of their measurements because all I have is their shoe size. I have not measured their feet at all. So I've decided that I'm going to tell them on Christmas that I am going to knit them socks, do all the measurements, figure out how much yarn I need exactly, buy the yarn, and then while I'm home on Christmas break, knit the socks. That is what I've decided. So that relieves a little bit of gift knitting pressure off my shoulders from now until Christmas. So it's not like I'm going in from 2 gift knits straight into 2 more gift knits. I have 2 gift knits, a couple of weeks of downtime just for me to do some knitting for myself and on the stockings, of course. And then I go back into gift knit mode. Kind of like a post-Christmas gift knitting mode. Oh my god. Post-Christmas gift knitting mode. Words have been hard for me today. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of anything else that I have to say, and I don't think that I do. I think that wraps it up for me. I think I'm out of things to say. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you know how to do. And I really like reading y'all's comments. I love reading y'all's comments. So be sure to leave me a comment. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're doing with your day. Anything like that. Anything along those lines. Also, if you haven't already, if you were new here, or if you just haven't, for whatever reason, go check out the rest of my page. I have lots of more videos like this, and I have a vlog coming out soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then, other than that, thank you guys for hanging out with me. It means the world. It really does. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go out, be kind, seize the day, and savor your happiness. Bye, y'all. I'm struggling so hard with my camera.